Hey, what's up, guys? Making a little dinner for the fam here tonight, and gonna make another video. This is a follow-up video to the previous video. This video today is gonna be a daily example of how to fuel as an endurance athlete. The previous video was how to fuel and optimize nutrition and body composition. And where we left off on that was really kind of like the daily breakdown, but what we didn't get into is how to execute. If you need, how do you know how many calories to eat or what your macronutrient breakdown needs to be? And then what are some food examples that you could eat, how to time it with your workout. So to have a little fun, we're actually gonna follow my day tomorrow. And I'm by no means an elite athlete, but I do have a couple decades of endurance sports under my belt. So we're gonna talk about what my goals will be for the day, how I determine those goals, because that will help you translate as an individual, how you can determine what you need, and then how do I execute throughout the day. And then just like in that previous video, we talked about tracking it and looking at maybe the caloric content, the caloric summary at the end of the day and the macronutrient breakdown. And was it successful in supporting my training for the day? So that's it. Let's have a little fun with it. I'm gonna finish up making dinner here, and we'll see you guys at dark 30 in the morning. Good morning, guys. It is about 5:45 in the morning. Time to get this day started. I hope you can hear me okay. Wife and kids are still asleep, so I gotta stay still kind of quiet. Got about 8 hours of sleep last night, which is pretty good. That's kind of on the low end of my what I call green sleep, meaning good sleep. 3 days a week, I get up early and I have a morning workout in addition to my evening workouts. So the rest of the days I get about 9 or 10 hours, which is more optimal. But that means I've been fasting for about 8.5 or 9 hours. Last thing I had was a bowl of cereal before I went to bed. So I am glycogen deficient. So I'm gonna break the fast with a banana this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and put that down. And then I have a go-go squeeze ready to go to consume during the workout. I have some flavored water that I'll start sipping on right now and start the rehydration process, and another bottle of water I can drink during the workout. Only have about an hour minute of base work this morning. So I don't need a ton, but I definitely wanna jumpstart the day. And then of course I'm gonna start pre-mixing my recovery shake, and then I have some tangerines ready to go to eat. We'll talk about that after the workout though, but I wanna have that ready to go so I can put that down as soon as I'm done and get the day started. I'm gonna put down this banana, go use the roll recovery, loosen my legs up a little bit before I actually jump on the bike, and we'll see you guys in about 90 minutes. All right, 7:15, just finished the workout. So immediate concerns are recovery. So start working on that recovery nutrition and set me up for my next workouts for the rest of the day. Gotta get these girls off to school, so can't have a proper breakfast right now, but we'll do that after I get my daughters to school. Finished off all the food I talked about earlier, killed 2 water bottles, got the third water bottle. So I know these water bottles are 20 ounces each. I use bike water bottles just because it's easy to measure, and I know it's 20 ounces per bottle, so real easy to keep track of my fluid that way. But about to kill these tangerines and this recovery shake. Oh, real quick, I'm just using chocolate protein and almond milk like I mentioned before, but NSF certified. That's important, so we want to know what's going into our bodies, no cross-contamination, and just want to be extra safe in case USADA comes calling, right? So make sure you know what's in your products, and that's it. Gonna kill this shake, get the girls ready for school, and then we'll come back after that for a proper breakfast before I jump in the office. So off we go. All right, about 9 o'clock, got some oats cooking up, a little bit of milk in there for some creaminess, so a tablespoon of brown sugar and butter for flavor, 2 fried eggs for a little more protein, so finally time to have a little more substantial breakfast. And something I forgot to mention real quick earlier, you saw me break out the fruit packet. If you're doing something more intense like running or swimming in a horizontal environment that may not digest very well, just grab a bottle of electrolyte drink. And by electrolyte drink, I mean something that has calories in it as well as electrolytes in it, to provide some of that glycogen kind of bump, if you will, that you need in the morning. So that's a good alternative. But I'm gonna finish this up, gobble it down, and get back in the office. And then we'll talk about how to come up with a caloric estimate, what are some macronutrient breakdowns you need to be looking for, and things like that. But for now, I'm gonna eat.
All right, back in the office now. Time to jump on the computer and do some of my daily coaching work. But before I do, let's take the opportunity to talk about kind of how do you know how to guide your nutrition. So we talked about resting metabolic rate. We talked about calculating your calories from your workouts and things like that. But let's run through the process real quick using myself as an example. And again, this isn't about me, but just using me as an example of what you can do to optimize your nutrition. How do you know what you should be eating, what the macronutrient breakdown is, etc. Before we do, so I just took my supplements. Let's talk about that real quick. So whether or not you need supplements or whether you need nutritional changes to address nutritional shortfalls is between you and your doctor or your registered dietitian or certified nutritionist. And how do you know is you got to get a blood test. You can't just guess. You can't just suspect or assume. Go talk to your doctor. So for me personally, I met with my doctor, had some blood tests done. And here's the interesting thing is that my levels and a lot of my athletes, they fall within the norms of general population, but that's not what an athlete needs to be optimized. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes what is considered low or even normal for general population needs to be increased for an athlete. So that's where you have a conversation with your doctor. So for me, for example, and again, this is common, especially for athletes at altitude, iron and vitamin D to be deficient. But I was on the low side of normal, so no red flags, right? But I proactively kind of dug into the details, and this is what I do with my own athletes. So if I'm not your coach, then go talk to your coach or go talk to your doctor about this. But a good way to is kind of look at that, and I just asked my doctor, I said, hey, as an endurance athlete, would it be okay to kind of increase, the vitamin D and the iron, rich foods that I'm getting in my diet, as well as some mild supplementation? Here's what I have in mind. Doctor said, yeah, absolutely. That makes complete sense. There's no harm in that. You're not going to get close to dangerous levels of over-consuming. So go for it. So that's what we did. And sure enough, when a few months later, got retested again, my levels improved, and I've continued that since. So the only way you know if you need supplementation or to make specific nutritional changes to address shortfalls is to get tested, talk to your doctor, or talk to your nutritionist about it. Let's talk about resting metabolic rate now. We mentioned that a few times. So the only way you're really going to know what your true resting metabolic rate is to go to a lab and get tested. And a lot of universities or clinics will have that available. And you literally just lie down on a bed, put a mask on, and they measure your gas exchange and get an idea of the bare minimum of calories you need just to stay alive. And that's kind of our foundational baseline of minimum what we need. So me, for example, what I use and what I use with my athletes is just to go online and get a rough estimate of what that could be. There's a lot of calculators online that can do this. I like the one from calculator.net. It shows me at just under 1,600 calories a day. Here on active.com, again, it just takes my gender, my height, and my weight and my age. Active.com, same, just under 1,600 calories a day. So what that means is I need to consume that amount of calories just to stay alive if I'm a sedentary individual hanging out on my couch all day. What that doesn't take into account is that I'm very active in training, often multiple times a day. Eating frequently, so individuals or athletes who are skipping meals or maybe they're fasting in the morning or whatever, you're going to have a lower metabolic rate, closer to that baseline, if you will. But if you're eating frequently, that fire's burning hot, and so your metabolic rate is going to be higher than what it actually lists there. So you have to take that into account. Now, on top of that, we add the calories that we anticipate burning during our workouts. So me, for example, I burn between 600 to 700 calories on the average workout. Again, higher intensities will be more, but 600 to 700 calories per hour for the typical workout is a good rough estimate for myself personally. And again, if you don't know how to do that, go back and watch the last video. I talk about how to do that in the previous video. So what that means is I take the 2.5 hours of training that I'm doing today, add that to the 1,600 calories baseline, and I know I need to consume about 3,300 calories a day just to meet the minimum. So historically, I also know that if I go under that, or even if I stay at that, a lot of times that's not enough. And I feel that during my workout. So I want to make sure I get at least 3,300 calories or higher. Again, the engine's burning hot, right? So we want to make sure we're not just doing the bare minimum, but optimizing your nutrition. Now, within that caloric content, what does that look like? Can it all just be, can I just go eat a bunch of ice cream to get 300 calories? Of course not. So as endurance athletes, we know that your carbohydrate intake needs to be on the higher end compared to a lot of, CrossFitters or football players or, more explosive sports who don't have a sustained effort. Again, so the carbohydrate needs to be higher. So I always look for a minimum of 50%, and we know on the higher training days, it could be as high as 70% of your overall calories for the day are carbohydrates. And that's going to really, again, just fuel the workload that you need to be fueled. Protein, talked about again in the last video, 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram, and a little more than that is usually okay. Your body will dispose of things that it can't use. So if you have 2 grams, it's either going to use that or flush it out of your system. But again, 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram is a good target to have. And then for fat, the USDA even says you can have healthy diets including up to 35% of your total calorie intake as fat. Of course, saturated fats needs to be less than 10% of your daily diet. And that's just to keep your heart healthy, keep your arteries from getting clogged, if you will. So all that encompassing carbohydrates, 50 to 70%, depending on kind of your workload on the day. Protein, really shoot for that 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram. And then keep the fat under 35% with saturated fats less than 10%. And again, that's straight from the USDA guidelines. If you need more specific details or specific prescriptions for you individually, again, doctor, nutritionist, dietitian, okay? Meet with those people. And bring your coach into the conversation. Again, if I'm your coach, we're having these conversations, or if you haven't talked to me about it, do. If I'm not your coach, talk to your coach. It's a team environment, right? Everybody needs to know what's going on to optimize your performance, okay? So now with all that said, I'm going to link a couple of articles down below. And I talked about this in the last video, but I didn't talk in specific detail. So here's an interesting thing. I have 2 articles that speak specifically to this. A lot of misinformed coaches and a lot of misinformed athletes have deeply rooted beliefs about the mathematics of calories. Calories in, calories out. Wrong. The body does not work that way. You can be in a calorie deficit and gain fat. You can gain weight in a calorie deficit. The 2 terms that you really need to hold on to here are catabolism and metabolic suppression. And again, I'll link the article, so if you want to read up on that, have at it. But basically what that means is your body's going into survival mode, and it's going to start to just kind of eat away at your own body. Hold on to the fat. It's going to break down molecules in your muscle, in your bones, in your blood, in your tissue. It's going to use all the things that it can start to self-preserve, and it's going to preserve the fat because that is the fuel source in dire environments, right? So it's an interesting caveat. It's not just calories in, calories out. I just see a lot of misinformed people who have this deeply rooted belief about the mathematics of it. And believe me, math is my thing. I'm a detail-oriented guy. I love math, but this is not a situation where the math works. That's not how the body works, okay? So what that means is if you're in a calorie deficit and you're not seeing the results you want, you're probably not eating enough. So here we go. Back to the simple basics of it. Fuel the workload that you're doing, eat often, eat healthy, hit your goals that we just talked about, and then you probably will start to perform better. Your body will find its natural homeostasis of maximum performance, whatever that is. But here's the interesting fact. If you're deep in a hole, it can take years for you to get back to that level of homeostasis. And here's I'll reference these articles below, but here's an interesting takeaway from just one sentence. The efficiency of metabolic suppression appears to be maintained up to 6 years beyond the point of original calorie suppression. So what that means is if you're deep in that hole, it could take years before you come back out and your metabolism comes back to a normal state, to a normal level. Here in this article from Gatorade Sports Science Institute, I'm talking about women's nutrition. Women, ladies, if you've lost your period and you're deep in that hole, it could take up to a year from the point of balance returning to a state of energy balance. It can take up to a year for you to get your period back. Now, I will say, I've worked with athletes in the past who have lost their periods, and it usually takes them, 1 to 3 months, and they're back to good after they find that energy balance. But again, it just takes a leap of faith, but your body's going to take time to reestablish if you're kind of in a rut or in a hole. So here's where we go to the science. That's what I'm doing this video for, as I want you guys to optimize your nutrition, give you some examples of what can I do to find what I need on a daily basis. And then once all this is done, you got to track it again. Okay. So you got to see what you're burning, what you're doing on a daily basis. How is your training going? Talk to your coach and your team, right? Your medical staff. Talk to them about how your training is going. Be super detailed. Are you injury free? Are you staying healthy? Are you feeling good? Are you sleeping well? Is your performance improving? And all of those things should be on the rise or at a stable, good status if your nutrition is supporting your training, okay? And so then you just monitor, and then you tweak as needed. So if your training load goes up, maybe this isn't enough, maybe you need to increase. Or if you're gaining a pound or two and it's the off season, your training's going great, but you're continuing to gain weight, one of two things is happening there. Either your body has not returned to that normal kind of metabolic state, if you will, or you could slightly reduce your calories. But again, if you're starting to get sick, you're starting to get injured, you're getting those little niggles, you don't feel good, you're not sleeping well, your training is not going well, those are all key indicators that you are not fueling your training. So that's it. I know that was longer than I wanted it to be, but really critical that we cover that kind of in the middle of this, what to do in a nutritional day. And that's it. So now time for me to put on my coach hat and actually do some real coaching work, and then we'll get back to you as the day progresses. So let's get to it. See you. All right, it's noon, been a couple hours, so definitely time to eat again. I'm getting hungry. I have a client call later this afternoon, and I need to pick up the girls from school before that, so my afternoon's gonna be pretty busy. So I'm gonna try and get my workout done about 1 o'clock in my second session. I'm gonna run and then do strength right after. So that means I don't wanna eat a whole bunch right now. I don't wanna have any fruits or vegetables that might not digest well. Gonna go with the old peanut butter and jelly standby, nothing fancy, but it works. And the organic bread that I eat digests really easily. I finished a water bottle while I was working, so just refilled my 4th water bottle. So then I start sipping on that again. Don't want a full belly, but gonna top the tanks off, hit my run about 1, pick up the girls about 3:15, and then some more work after that, and then it'll be dinner time. So keep you guys posted as we go along here still. All right, session done for the day. Thank goodness. Feels good to be done early. Felt super solid on those sessions. So nutrition, got it right today. But now that I'm done for the day, my immediate thought goes into recovery and then preparation for tomorrow. I gotta do a couple of switch races with some of my athletes tomorrow, so I gotta hang in there best I can. I wanna make sure I'm fueled up. So I gotta run out the door in a hurry, so I don't have time to make anything, but I'm gonna grab a quick, about a cup of strawberries. That's 150 grams. Technically, that's probably about 2 servings. I'm gonna make a quick little protein shake again with some almond milk and get out the door. So staying busy. All right, it is almost 5 o'clock. Time for a substantial snack, we'll call it. Craving some vegetables and some more carbohydrates. Unfortunately, I had some leftovers, but unfortunately the sweet potatoes are only 3 ounces, and that's 4 ounces of chicken. 7 ounces total, so I'll log that, and this will tide me over till dinner. All right, pizza night at the Axfords. As I'm looking at this, it looks very unpresentable, but it's gonna be pretty good. If I was really trying to optimize nutrition, if I had a race tomorrow or whatever, or no family to consider, probably would do a rice-heavy bowl. I'm gonna be a little short on carbs, so I'm gonna follow this up with a couple of bowls of cereal before I go to bed. But it's pizza night at the Axford house, so pizza, some vegetables, easy vegetables, a little bit of salt, and then a nice glass of water. And that's it. All right, that's it, you guys. Day is done. It's 8 p.m. I just finished off my 2 bowls of cereal to get those carbohydrates up where we needed them. I'm gonna put the tallies for the day over here, but overall, as you can see, a pretty good day. Macronutrient breakdown was where we needed it. Had a good training day. It's gonna set me up for a good day tomorrow and a good night's sleep tonight, help me recover. But overall, pretty pleased with the day. But more importantly, hopefully this gives you some tools and resources and some examples of what you can do to find out exactly what you need to optimize your daily nutrition to benefit your training and ultimately your racing. That's what we're all doing this for. So as always, if you have any questions, let me know. If you found anything useful in this video, please hit the like button below. That just helps more people see it. I was really just kind of trying to put this information out there to help athletes and other coaches just kind of be more informed and make better choices and change the dynamic of sports nutrition today in endurance sports. Just make better athletes and healthier athletes. So time for me to go and throw on some more comfy clothes, get a little stretch and roll, gonna relax with the fam for a bit, and then hit the hay, get ready for another day tomorrow. Thanks guys, see ya.